Hello, everyone. My name is Jessie Corral, and I am the founder and director of Hands-On Media Education. I'm based in Montreal, and I'm really excited to be doing this first Facebook Live because I usually do work in the flesh with people wherever they are. I do virtual workshops in the Northwest Territories from Montreal. I've started to do that, which has been really great. But it's really exciting for me right now, today, to be reaching out wherever you are. If you have access to the internet and a computer. And so I'm really excited to be here. And the reason that I wanted to do a Facebook Live is because I wanted to explain a little bit about what I do and what I'm really passionate about, which is media and digital literacies. There is so much to talk about right now in 2019. I always start my workshops with teachers by saying that this is really a time of transition as a society. I have an undergrad degree in anthropology, and I always kind of keep that in mind. Like, I think we're really trying to figure out how to use technology to our advantage while minimizing harm. And with that, there's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of frustration, especially in the classroom. There's really a shift happening with how we access information. It's no longer just a teacher delivering all the information, right? When we have access to a phone, it's a computer, and we can access virtually any information that we want. And so it kind of is it's a shift socially. And I think we really need to have some patience with the technology that we're using. And I know that there's a lot of generational difference between youth and educators, professors and universities, adults, parents, and also the elderly and elders. So it's a really interesting time. And I'm really excited to be in this space in 2019 because there's so much change happening, and there's so much learning, and there's so much potential from an educational point of view. And so I have been working in this space for the last 15 years, all across Canada and internationally as well, and delivering digital literacy workshops, media and digital literacy workshops. And I'm going to break this down when we get through a bit more of the presentation. I'm going to be kind of giving an overview of what media and digital literacy are. It is Media Literacy Week in Canada this week. So the 7th to the 11th, it has been it's been about 12 years that Canada has had a Media Literacy Week, and it's a chance to celebrate media literacy and digital literacy across from coast to coast to coast in Canada. And we really are a leader in the world in terms of media education. And so I think we really need to be proud of that if we are Canadians. And the Americans have been looking to Canada as kind of a guide. And so they've been starting their Media Literacy Week. They have their 5th. In a few weeks it starts. So be sure to check out all of their awesome programming too. But I wanted to do this Facebook Live today to introduce myself and to talk about what we do, right? Like, Hands-On Media Education we have been doing a lot of student workshops, and it's been great. And I have been loving it. We've been going to every part of Canada. And again, as I was saying, we've been doing it internationally as well. And I have decided to go into a train the trainer approach. And the reason for that is on a few different levels. The first is there's greater impact when I teach an educator how to use digital literacy workshops in their own classrooms. When I do a workshop with students, it feels more like a kind of a one-time experience, right? And I know that there's a lot of ripple effects that do happen with students, and it can be very transformative. And it's been really, the workshops are really successful. But I want to increase that impact. So when I teach an educator, I'm teaching 30 students possibly, right? And when I teach a group of 10 educators, that's 300 students that I'm impacting. So it feels like there's just more impact, and I know we need to be doing this kind of work more and more, so it makes a lot more sense. The other reason is that I want to be teaching educators the curriculum of the workshops that I've been teaching, and I want those educators to then adapt it and customize it to their own needs in their own communities. So I feel like it's going to be more relevant education. The third reason is that it's going to be more sustainable. So they have a longer time with those students. So I'm only able to come in and I leave. So the train the trainer approach just makes so much more sense. And I'm really excited to be doing that. We have been doing a lot of that, but not as much as the student workshop. And now we're really shifting just to train the trainer. So if you're interested in any of these workshops, please contact me, and I'll leave my contact information at the end. The other thing that we have been doing and we want to expand more on is doing digital literacy consultation. So if it's a school board that wants to really rethink how they're using technology in the classroom and have their staff trained and have a better understanding of what digital literacy and media literacy are, we can come in and design a program that's customized to your needs. So we've been doing that, but we really want to expand on that more. I'll be teaching a few different workshops at a few different conferences coming up in Canada and the States. And so we're hoping to really kind of get more of that kind of reach going on, as well as organizations, right? A lot of people have never had any media or digital literacy training. And so we know it's valuable, we know it's needed, and so we can help you with that. The other is that we're going to be delivering free webinars. So we're going to be giving out a lot of our content for free that we've been doing with students. So teaching teachers, but virtually. So I don't have to be flying all over the place, which is, it's been exhausting. I'm not going to lie. There's been so much travel and I love it. It's incredible to meet so many people that are doing amazing work. The most beautiful things I've seen, most beautiful people, and I love it, and I'm going to miss part of that, but I need to be kind of preserving myself and not burning out, and really trying to expand our reach. There's a lot of media education that is not being taught in the world. We did a contract in Algeria last year for the whole year, and sadly there's just not a lot of media education happening. So I'm really excited to be expanding beyond our borders. And where I can fly. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be starting with iPad animation. We're going to be doing digital storytelling as well, online information verification. So these webinars are going to be coming out and they're going to be free. So that's really exciting. And I really love that ethos of sharing knowledge and really trying to make this world a better place, because this initiative is a social cause. Media literacy is critical thinking about the media we're consuming. And I really care a lot about that. I can't believe that people don't know how to understand media at its base level. I find it really hard and sad to think that people are watching news, for example, without any critical thought about where that news is coming from, what the message is, who's behind that message, why is that message being sent that way? How is it created? And what is the message? Do I believe in it? Do I agree with it? Do I disagree with it? Right? We all have our own agency, and we should be applying that to all media that we're consuming. And I feel the most important and most effective way to instill media literacy and critical thinking is through production. So by creating a video project, you really understand at the core how media is made, right? So that you understand the next time you listen to a video and you hear that music track, you understand that was a creative decision. And so you understand when you're creating your own. Okay, so the next time I listen, that kind of nostalgic, thoughtful music was specifically chosen because they want me to feel a certain thing. And that's totally fine. But that's part of the kind of the way media is created. And so anyway, I'm a big fan of media literacy, and I really hope that everyone else is too. So, I want to get into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty of media literacy. So I want to go over a few key concepts, which I think are really, really important. So media, the first thing is that media are constructions. This is, as I was saying, through the creation ourselves, we really get to understand that. But we really need to, especially, for example, with the documentary genre, where people watch a documentary and they kind of assume that it's the truth. Oh, they hear this kind of the voice of God, we call it in film production, right? This voice telling you, explaining what's happening. And your critical thinking is definitely not often there. It's usually just going along with the experience and just trusting that this is what is being described is the truth. But it really is, we need to understand that media are constructions. The second is that audiences negotiate meaning. So everyone is going to have a different interpretation of that same media message. So with my own background, I'm going to have a very different experience than someone else. So not all media is consumed in the same way. Another important one is that media have commercial implications. So unfortunately, a lot of secondary students in Canada, as a recent poll came out by Media Smarts last year, is that most secondary students in Canada actually have no idea how Facebook or YouTube make their money. They don't understand that fundamentally viral videos are not just funny and they're just enjoyed by everyone. The whole point is that YouTube and Facebook want those videos shared as much as they can because it's about ad revenue. The people that are posting it, they want those shared because they make money every time it's viewed. So we need to be really understanding how media makes their money, right? Not all media. If I made a video today and I posted it, well, even like this Facebook Live, for example, I'm not going to make any money off of it. So doesn't all have commercial implications, but a lot of it does. And certainly mainstream absolutely does. The fourth key concept of media literacy is that media have social and political implications. You know, that's a big one. Propaganda, obviously, is being used by politicians everywhere. It's being used by corporations that are trying to push their advertising on people. And we need to, be mindful of that. Be mindful of that. And the fifth key concept of media literacy is that each medium has a unique aesthetic form. And that's kind of common sense, but it's true. Every media is different. One thing worth mentioning is that the term media is plural for medium, right? So it's a vessel that a message is coming through. So back in the day, it was mostly one way. So you had a newspaper that was delivered to your door and you would read that, right? So the message was come to you and you were consuming it. If you turned on the television set, there was a broadcast, you were consuming it. It was one way. But now things have shifted. So it's two-way, absolutely. And when you watch a Netflix show, that data is being sent back to Netflix. All that data is being it's all being collected, and there is no one-way connection anymore with digital media. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, one thing I wanted to mention is that with video, it's an audio and visual experience. So you really don't have to do anything. You can sit back as you're doing now and just enjoy it. And that's really easy. That's really a really easy way to get information across, which is great, especially for learning, right? You don't really have to put much effort into it. There's so many people learning on YouTube, which is amazing. And that's great. But it's just good to think about other more active mediums. For example, with radio or a podcast, you have to imagine what's happening. With the newspaper, you have to read it. right? And so that's why video is often used for propaganda, because it's just so easy to consume. So that is something to keep in mind. I want to also talk about digital literacy now. So media literacy was applied, and it could be applied to really any media that was before the digital time. Now we want to apply those same media key concepts, media literacy key concepts, and we can still apply those to the digital technologies and tools, but there are a few differences, right? So digital media are networked, like I was saying, it's not one way anymore. Another thing is that digital media are persistent, searchable, and shareable. And that's really important to be teaching, especially our youth and students. I mean, everyone could use a little dose of of this, right? Like, it's not just youth that are sharing things that might not be appropriate. I like to talk to students about this, and especially if they're looking for work as a secondary student, because they need to understand that their profiles are potentially searchable. If you have a public Instagram account, for example, your future employer could easily find you and may not hire you because of what you posted. It might not be appropriate for that company. And so it's just good to keep in mind. The other thing is, the third key concept of digital literacy is that digital media have unknown and unexpected audiences, right? So that's really important to know, especially if we're sharing sensitive content, private content. There's a lot of youth that know how to use apps, phones, they're incredibly agile at navigating these tools. Critical thinking and safe use is not a natural instinct. So this is really what we need to be teaching. The unknown and unexpected audiences, we absolutely need to be telling everyone that. It's not just this little bubble that you think you're sharing it with, if it's public. So let's be mindful of what we're sharing. The fourth is that digital media experiences are real, but don't always feel real. And this is a big one, especially in terms of cyberbullying and what we call empathy traps. It's really about this kind of lack of connection with the person that we're interacting with. And people can do all kinds of things. I mean, you see any kind of comment on YouTube, if it's any kind of controversial video or news article, people come out of the woodwork and say some really crazy things. And I'm sure they wouldn't necessarily say that kind of thing to someone in the flesh. So there's this kind of anonymous facade that exists, but people can be really hurt still. It doesn't mean that we can act any way we want. It's really about being mindful of how we interact with people online. How we respond and behave when using digital media is influenced by the architecture of the platforms. Another big thing is about notifications on our phones. These platforms want us to be engaging with them constantly, so they're designed that way. They're designed to keep pulling us back. And luckily, there's some really cool tools that can help us manage that and manage screen time for our own, as well as our students and our youth. So this is kind of like an intro to media and digital literacy. There are so many topics that we could explore. And that's what's really exciting, because they need to be explored. This isn't an option anymore. And I really feel very strongly about getting this kind of education out there. So we're going to be doing Facebook Lives every month, at least. I feel like we could do them every day. I feel like there's so much that we could talk about. And I really want to engage and ask you, the community, what you want to learn about. So I have some questions, and I want to ask you what they are. Ask you a few of them. So I want to know what you'd like to learn about for our next Facebook Lives. How do you use phones in the classroom is a great topic, right? And we can explore that in a Facebook Live. There's so many tips and tricks. We don't need to ban them from our classrooms. Ugh. Get very frustrated when I hear about that kind of thing. We cannot pretend it's 1980 anymore, as much as you'd like to. We really need to be using and teaching effective ways to use these tools in our classrooms. How do you verify information online? Do you want to know about that? I can teach you about that, right? It's very easy. It takes a bit more work than just consuming information blindly, but we really need to be doing this more. Another great important topic is to how to discuss cyberbullying in the classroom with your students, right? And in really fun ways. It doesn't have to be this wah-wah, like dry and boring kind of thing. It can be really fun, and you can make some really fun projects out of it. How to manage your own screen time. How do you do that, right? How do we navigate this world of balancing our potential with these tools, but not letting it take over our lives and getting into kind of more the addictive territory? So I am here to help you on your media education, digital literacy, media literacy journey. And I'm really excited. Thank you so much for joining. If you're interested in any kind of workshop or webinar or consultation service, please contact us. And I look so much forward to hearing from you and engaging. And let's get started. I'm so excited. Okay, bye.